So I'd like to introduce our keynote, Anna Wofford. She is you can see her in action at the Lawton Farmers Market every Saturday. She has a beautiful setup there. You also can find her in her pumpkin patch or one of her mini with all of her goats. I visited her farm. It is a beautiful, beautiful facility. She has hoop houses and goats and gardens, and she invites people to visit her farm to pack and forth. So it's a great site. Her background is in education and farming, and so she puts that together on her property. If you're ever going to Red River Farm, it's beautiful. You should definitely go visit it. But she's going to tell you a lot more about it. I would say I have had her vegetables, and they are delicious. So she definitely knows what she's doing. And she seems to figure out. I don't know if you're going to talk about it, but I went to her farm, and her food wasn't eaten up by all the grasshoppers. So I was really impressed. I was very impressed.
Thank you.
Maybe share your secret with me. Oh, there were lots of grasshoppers, just not in her vegetables.
Yes, lots and lots and lots of grasshoppers. Well, thank you all for having me today. It's when they asked me and approached me about this, I thought, I don't know that you really want me up there. I mean, I can entertain about 100 students every day, but a classroom of adults is a little different. But we're going to give it a go, and we're going to go with it. But they did talk to me about diversified farming, and I thought, I don't really think I'm diversified. Really didn't really put a lot of thought into it. I like the term homesteading. My husband despises that term and says we're not doing it on many, many occasions. But that's kind of where I'm heading secretly. He doesn't know that, okay? And he's back there, so now he's into my plans. So sorry, honey. But just trying to homestead, trying to be able to do everything and make our farm pay for it. That's kind of what our goal is, or my goal, my ultimate goal. But diversified farming, practice of producing a variety of crops or animals or both on one farm. Okay, so if you stop and think about that, I thought, what does Webster say about this? I'm a teacher, and I decided last night late, and I thought, what would Webster say? And at this point in time, if you were in my classroom, you would be digging under your seat, grabbing your Webster's dictionary, and we're having dictionary wars, okay? Whoever gives me the correct definition gets a piece of candy. Then you have to use it in a sentence exactly the way I want it. You get another piece of candy. I'm out of candy and I'm out of dictionary, so sorry. Eat your cookie. I saw those back there. Sorry, that's the only dessert I've got today. But I did look it up, and it says, glasses, sorry. I've got to remember, I'm getting old. I have to have them to read. The practice of producing a variety of crops or animals or both on one farm as distinguished from specializing in a single commodity. That hit home for me. We're not the norm. If you come into our neck of the woods in Tillman County, pull up on my farm, we're on 158 acres. Everybody around me has thousands and thousands of acres that they farm. And it's pretty much commodities, okay? They grow their commodities, great. Some have commodities plus cattle, okay. And then they feed the cattle whatever they grow. Our farm, we're not the norm. We're the ones that got laughed at. We're the ones that everybody points at and say, look at those weirdos. That's okay. I'm okay with being a weirdo. Now, I'm part of their community, and they welcome me. They come to me and say, how many school buses are you going to have this week? They're not hitting the ditch just because they're driving down the road and, oh my gosh, they've got people on their farm. That's me now. I'm the person that they call and say, Wofford, how many buses you got this week? It's cool now. We're the cool kids. Took a little bit, but we got there. Now I'm going to try to work this. I'm not fancy. You did great earlier, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You did fabulous. Okay, so I am Anna Wofford. And I'm going to make this, I'm sorry, this is going to drive me insane. So I'm just going to put it down for now because that little dot moving around, ADD, is kicking in. I'm my students, okay? So I'm just, okay. I am a farmer, gardener, teacher. I'm a business owner. I live in Davidson, Oklahoma. I've been married for 26 years. My husband has put up with me, and we are still there together. We have two farmerettes. We have 18-year-old Cassidy, 14-year-old Kennedy. I am an educator, and this is my 7th year. I own the Red River Pumpkin Patch, and this is our 7th season. So as you can tell, we moved to the farm. I had a dream. I went with it. okay, as soon as we got the farm. I'll tell you that story shortly. I've been a farmer gardener most of my life. I used to garden with my dad. I used to be out there planting tomatoes, planting onions, digging them right up and having a snack right there in the backyard. We always had a large garden. But the reason I put these images up here is because I'm an educator, and that's what I do. I love agriculture. I love sharing it with my students. If you look at this top picture left, you will see that woman on that computer screen. She's from Vermont. She's a farmer. She raises rabbits. She lives on the side of a mountain, and she makes cheese. A passion of mine I found when I went to an National Ag in the Classroom conference, and they taught us how to make cheese. So that sparked a seed here, and I implemented it in my classroom. The little girl above the monitor, Raven, bless her, love her. I got the pleasure of having her 2 years in a row. Raven, during the summer, lays in a bed in her house and watches YouTube. That's it. She doesn't go outside. She doesn't play in the backyard. Her parents allow her to do this. So, I have a program called GLAMS inside my classroom. It's a volunteer. They come in, they volunteer to give up their recess to come and hang out with me. I'm the cool kid, by the way, at this point in time to these girls. So they get to come in. We learned about cheese. We learned how to make pancakes out of the whey from the cheese. We learned how to make mozzarella. We learned how to make cheesecakes. We've done all this inside my classroom. This girl is lactose intolerant. This girl cannot eat pretty much what we make, but she's learning and she loves it and she shows up and she's excited and she shares it with all of her friends. I had to turn away so many girls because I couldn't allow them in my class. I couldn't have that many kids. I had 2 rotations of 20 kids each on different rotations just so I could get them all in. But they love this stuff. And this is a girl who watches YouTube. She got to meet up with a farmer in Vermont because I had a dream and I went with it. See, honey, I tell you, these dreams are going somewhere. If you look at this bottom picture, this is Dr. Legayko. He's with our Lawton Farmers Market, and he's on the board, I'm pretty positive. Love Dr. Legayko. My kids loved this guy. They just, bless his heart, the questions they asked him. Brought him into the classroom. I was going to do a live feed, kind of like what I did here with Vermont, but he's like, no, let me just come to your classroom. I'm retired. Let's just do this. Okay, let's do it. So he came in, all my kids came in, crammed in this little classroom. We just left him a little spot to walk. That's all we would allow him there because we were trapping him in is really what we were doing. So we were holding hostage there and going through him and learning about his life and what he does farming. They grow popcorn. That sparked another idea because I always do a popcorn unit. We pop popcorn right off the cob and we taste test it. He's a popcorn grower. Brought him right into the classroom. All these kids got to meet these 2 farmers last year. I exposed over 70 kids to that. That's my passion. I love this. Now, if you look at the top right, this picture's several years old. Our pumpkin patch has evolved even bigger, but just looking at that image, those buses, we were the weirdos. We were the people that we were laughed at, we were poked at, we were pointed at. You are odd. Yes, I think outside of the box, and yes, I'm your weirdo. But our pumpkin patch is all one level. Teachers can sit in one spot and look across the way and see their kids playing. That was kind of the idea there. And they love coming because it's an outdoor classroom now. And the teachers can teach with it. I put up documentation, different flyers, different things for the kids to learn from. They take it back to their classroom and they can continue to build on that. They buy a pumpkin, they take the pumpkin back, we give them pumpkins. They take them back, they core them, they see what's inside those pumpkins. Down in the bottom right, that's my booth at the Lawton Farmers Market. Now, does it always look like this? No. Whenever we get a nice cold front that comes through and kills everything, okay? It does happen. We are growing in hoop houses, but they're not 100% to keep everything all year round. So we are learning what to grow, what not to grow, what's working and what's not. One hoop house grows cucumbers really well, the other one not so much. Okay, so I'll have to figure this out on my own. I feel like I'm kind of getting a little leg up on things and kind of getting a little better with it. But we are trying. I failed a lot. You may look at this and say, well, they just got it going on. No, we have failed a lot, I promise you. But you can succeed. Maybe. Okay. So this is one of my favorites. All three of those pictures are, but this quote really kind of hit home. But I'm going to go to the pictures first. Sorry, teacher part of me. I talk to the kids about the image because that's where their minds go, and then we'll talk about the quote. But if you look here, here's my hoop house. This is my very first house that we built. Now, I lost the tops out of both of my houses. I have two. And I did get that with the NRCS, but I also lost the tops out of both of them. And, you know, when you have 85-mile-an-hour winds in southwest Oklahoma and no windbreak, that's just going to happen. So I had to do a lot of research, figure out, oh my gosh, what could we do? Did a lot of research with some colleges down south. They showed me what they were doing and what was working for them, and I gravitated toward that. My husband and I did one house just like that, and top still on. It looks amazing. The other top, I'm leaving it on until that plastic rips all the way off, and then we'll go there and we'll implement that. Now, it does let a little bit more air out the top because it is a mesh top instead of an actual plastic top. Okay, it works wonderfully. This little calf was born. It was a dwarf. Dwarf/Highlander, I think, at the time, and we waited on that little guy forever. And we raise cattle. We want to feed people real beef. That's our goal too. I want to feed you. I want you to come to my pumpkin patch, and I want you to have fun, but I also want to feed you. Okay? That's my goal, and that's what I want to do. This little girl, that picture is several years old, but that isn't that precious. And this little girl was a hoot. She would grab, and that year I grew all my pumpkins. And that was wonderful. Now, I'm still not growing 100%. Number one, we're in a drought, and I have the best corn right now that you can imagine. It's on a pivot, but it looks terrible. But, you know, there's only so much we can do. We need a break in the temps. We need a break. We need some water. But this little girl would grab these pumpkins and pick them up and take them to her car. Come back, get another load, take them to her car. And her mother just sat and watched this happen, back and forth. And then you see her come around the corner. She's hanging on to my husband's pinky, and she's walking with him, telling him things. And then she wants him to pick her up because Farmer Chad gave her a hayride, and she wanted to say thank you. So that's why we do this. We don't do it because, oh my gosh, the work is intense. Don't get me wrong, but we do it for that. We do it for those little kids. We do it for all of those families. So this quote, some things were done a certain way, and they had been done that same way for ages. Most of the time, it was a good thing, a reliable thing, and we grew up being able to count on life being very predictable and very dependable. Arlene Stafford Wilson. Isn't that the truth? Things used to be done, things were always done a certain way. In my neck of the woods, yes, we've got all those farmers that have thousands of acres. We're not doing it that certain way. That's why we were pointed at. Okay? Most of the time, it was good things, a reliable thing, and we grew up being able to count on life being very predictable. Is it predictable right now? No. Ever since COVID? No, not even close. So that's another reason. Why can't I have a farm that I do everything on? And it's more homesteading. I don't even know, I don't know why my husband doesn't like that term, but I want to be able to utilize that, and I want to be able to use that in my life and have my kids be able to look back and say, Mom, we didn't have to want for anything. We've got our own food, we've got our own property, we've got our own cattle, we've got our own everything right here. And thank you guys for doing that. So nothing is very dependable anymore. Okay. Normal farms. Farms focus on one or two basic practices: crops, livestock, dairy products, or hay. That's your norm. Now, do you have to be the normal in your area? You really don't. We've got a lot of cotton farmers around us, a lot of wheat farmers, a couple of hay farmers. My husband grows hay and all of that type of thing for our cattle. Now, a diversified farm. Opening up your farm to diverse choices. Don't try to be normal. What is your specialty? Think about it. What could you implement to your farm to make you different? Think outside of the box. I'm an outside of the box type thinker. I'm not going to think like normal teachers. I don't do that. I do get looked at weirdly. I get the stink eye from some, and some look at me and go, why did you think of that? I don't know. It just happens. It just happens. I can't tell you 100%, but I think differently. I teach differently. That's okay. It's still, I'm a weirdo. I'm okay with it. Now, when we started our farm and I had 2 young children. I actually started college with 2 young children, And I was chasing a dream to be an educator. Okay, 2 young children running around, trying to go to school full time, trying to do a daycare full time, 7 little kids under the age of 2. Oh, have you ever had 7 under the age of 2 under one roof? I'm telling you, I was about to go a little crazy. So then my husband decided, oh, I want a farm. Let's buy a farm. Anna, let's buy a farm. I had my dream house living in town. We had the typical life. Take the dogs to the park, 3 days a week, take the kids to the park 2 days a week. We might go see a movie once a month. You know, we had the normal life. And then he throws his dream in there. Let's get a farm. Now I'm in a trailer house. It's not my dream home, and I complain about it all the time. But that's okay. Soon enough, we will build, and I'm okay with that.
You should divorce that now.
I know, right? But I'm chasing a dream. I'm always chasing something. Okay, so I'm chasing that dream. We've got the pumpkin patch. That seed was there. I decided, okay, let's go for that. Now, then I decided, oh, let's feed people. Why not? We're already doing everything else. Now let's just grow some vegetables, raise some meats, raise some chickens, raise some sheep, raise some pigs. And my husband we just had that discussion coming over here. What do we need to do with the chickens? What do we need to do with this? Okay, so a lot of that, a lot of deep discussing. But I'm always chasing an adventure. Do you see I've got kind of a little thing going here? I'm always chasing something. That's kind of my motive. But the dreams come, the seeds are planted, and I chase it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But right now, it's been working out. I'm going to go with it. Now, this next slide. Okay. How we began. We didn't begin, we weren't one of those farmers, some of those around us, and they're our generation. I mean, they're our age, but pretty much it's a generational farming family. They hand it over. So they start with land, they start with equipment, they start with everything. We had nothing. No offense, Charles, I'm not saying that at all by any means. I'm just saying we started with, that's my father-in-law, but we started with a farm. We purchased it in January 2016, 158 acres. Now, this picture was taken this spring when we had all the rain. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful, but that's what our land consists of. There's no grass. There's some native grasses, but there's really not a lot of good grass coverage for your cattle. We bought a sticker farm. We grow those well. I mean, that is something. Every time you step on them, you just think, oh, we need a spray. So we do. We have those wonderful stickers. We had 30 cows, one food truck, and a gooseneck trailer. That's it. My husband came home and said, Anna, we can't make these payments on what we've got going on right now. What should we do? He should have never asked. For years, I'd been wanting to build a pumpkin patch. Why not? I mean, I've got 2 young kids. We're loading up in the car, traveling 3 hours to go to a pumpkin patch. Sometimes it's raining. Put little ponchos on the little guys and we go. We continue to go. No, it didn't matter if it's freezing cold or not. We're putting on jackets and we're going. So I told him, I said, we've got the space. Why not? And he let me do it. So it was pretty exciting right then. I think it was in May and June when we began, and that October we opened. Now, was it amazing? Yes, for our first year it was amazing. We had over 800 people. You may be looking at me thinking, oh, that's not many people. But for us, it was a lot of people. Number 1, we didn't have a corn maze. Number 2, I'm going to show you a picture of where we first began. We will always remember that. That's something that some people don't. They prosper and they make a success out of it, but they don't remember where they came from. We're humble. I don't go around boasting about what I do. That's not me. For 2 years, they didn't know I was a teacher at Farmers Market except for Cindy. I didn't go around telling people that. That's just something I didn't do. We talked about farming. We talked about raising crops. I talked about all my failures and learned from my mentors, but I didn't just go around telling everybody. Then once I started sharing that, they were like, oh, you're a teacher. That's nice. Oh, you're this. Oh. But I don't typically do that. We're pretty humble people, I think. So that's where we began. Okay, we had the barn. It came with the property. Bought this nice canopy. And if you see these pumpkins right here, I'm so proud. I grew those. Now, I grew these down at the lot. I know, it's just very hard. It just makes you go, what? Okay, but that's where I began. I used to get in my little Trailblazer. I had a little trailer on the back with a water tank on the back, and I would fill it up at the house, and I'd drive all the way down to the lot, half a mile, go down there and gravity feed the water to water my pumpkins. That's what we did. I did this every day. I was so proud. I was picking off squash bugs by hand, picking off all of their little eggs by hand, me and my kids. They hated me. But I had a dream, and I was researching how do you get rid of these. You pick them off and put them in soapy water, so that's what we were doing. So these are my in-laws are in here. My sister and brother-in-law are there. My kids, we had a popcorn machine. We had some snacks, and we had some water in a cooler and some pop. That's what we started with. And if you look right out here, that should be lush, beautiful grass. It's not. The reason is because my oldest daughter and I got in our little mowers with these bags on the back, and we bagged and bagged and bagged those stickers, and we put them on a trailer. And my husband went and hauled them off and burned them. We were like, yes, we're winning this game. Oh, no, we didn't. We didn't even get close. So it started to rain right before we opened. Guess what happened? The grass started coming back. The stickers started heading out. I called Chad. I was in tears. I was crying. I said, what do we do? He's like, let me make a call. By the time I got home, our buddy across the road, these people have helped us tremendously, came in with his big spray rig, made one big circle, and killed my grass. I was so happy. I was so proud. So it's nothing but deadness, but that's wonderful because those little kids weren't getting as many stickers. Still got loaded with stickers, and we love it when school groups come. Bless you guys, bless your parents. They take those stickers with them. It's one less off my farm. And then we took cattle panels. We put the cattle panels back here that were full of stickers back there. Bless those people who came and judged us for our animals, but we did the best that we could. And those were full of stickers, but our animals were back here. That's it. We put up some T-posts around the perimeter, and we put up some orange baler twine because we had it. It was cheap. It was there. So that's what we started with. Homemade games my husband and I made ourselves. Yes, sir?
What do you do with your spare time?
Exactly. I'm tired. I'm not going to lie to you. And I've got 96 students right now. This is just a little icing on the top here this year. 6 different science classes from 3rd through 8th, 6 different lesson plans, 6 different pacing calendars, and 100 students to go with it. I'm just a little excited. I need some medication, I think. And I need a little something. So that's what we started with.
Yeah, can I answer his question? She helps me move from field to field, and sometimes she'll ride the tractor with the hay rake or the swamp.
Yeah, there is that. So this is where we began. We'll never forget this. This is something that I even have on my desktop, on my computer. I open it, I look at it. This is where I started. Thank you, my in-laws, for being there. Every year they're there with a smile on. Every year he's there and her both to help us work the haunted maze at night because we need extra people, and they're there. And that's something I thank you guys. I know you guys don't have to do that at all. But now we have the Wofford cattle. That's Chad's side. He has the nurse cows. He has 90 cows, cow-calf operation. We own 640 acres. We started with 158. And we lease 560 acres in Tillman and Comanche County. Comanche County, we love moving our cattle over there because they grow so much better than what we can at home. And so that's where a lot of ours go. Farmland, he has 460 acres, and he harvests wheat and hay. Okay, my side is we have the bees, Dorper hair sheep. They graze the 158 acres there at home. We are fighting off coyotes. I mean, that's what I do. I have to bring them in every night, put them in the lot to keep them safe because they are picking them off right in the pasture, right behind my house. They're picking them off. It's breaking my heart because that's pretty much that's their food source, and it's cheap food source in their opinion, not mine. That is, I could do a whole presentation on that. So I did have some LGDs come onto the property. A lady said she trained them for us, and they would be around everything imaginable, and they're going to be just fine. Paid high dollar for them, brought them on the farm. They were killing chickens, and they were stealing lambs from the moms and killing the babies. So then I decided, okay, another guy talked me into it. He said, you really need an LGD. So I said, okay. And he said, I've got the best. They're raised with chickens. You're not going to have a problem. They're raised with sheep. They're raised with everything. Brought her onto the farm. She's killing chickens. Then I put her in with the pigs. She's kind of aggressive. Pigs have rotational grazing paddocks. Okay, we got this. Put her in with the pigs. One day she decided, let's go crazy after she's 3 years old, and let's dig out. She went on killing spree and got all my chickens out of the chicken tractor. They were out roaming because that's what they do. They're pasture raised. Then I decided, okay, let's put her back in there, put her back in with the pigs. She started attacking the pigs. So I don't want another LGD for a while until I can figure out what's happening. For a few weeks and do that, probably should have. I probably should have. All of our pasture-raised chickens are in a chicken tractor my husband built me. Yes, it flips over from time to time. We need to do some modifications, but we really haven't lost a chicken in it for the most part, other than, Marley the dog. But that's where we do our eggs, and they get the nice vegetation. Every day they are moved to a different spot. Every day they get a new batch of grasshoppers because they are tired of grasshoppers at this point. Yes. So we also raise the Cornish cross chickens. I do that seasonally. I've downsized that tremendously because it takes up so much of my time. I don't have a whole lot of time for that. We grow our pumpkins and ornamentals. I am fighting the deer off. I go out there, they're eating my okra by that. They are just picking rows by rows. They're hungry, I understand, but that's what we're fighting against. We have the corn, maze, pumpkin patch hoop houses. We grow our vegetables for the farmer's market. We also have a small fruit orchard, which I'm watering the hound out of, just trying to keep it alive right now. Everybody's starting to lose trees. I'm watering everything that we can. So as soon as I get home from school, I change my clothes, I'm outside, I'm fixing dinner, I'm outside till about 10 o'clock every night. And then they hand me 100 students and say, here, enjoy. And I'm like, wouldn't you expect me to do that? But okay, I got this. I'm trying. I got a smile on. So that's what we're going with there. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. So these programs we have utilized several times, the NRCS. I talked to the people there in Tillman County that have helped us. We have gotten the equipped several times, and we've used it to establish grass, sprigging our grass. Now, where we are in the stickers, you have to plow that up, and then you have to have all of your sprigs added, and then guess what? You're resurfacing all of those old stickers. So now you've got more stickers that you thought you were battling, and now they're all back. But it looks really nice out there right now. It's all dead. It's great. But it's going to start cooling down, and it's going to be above 90, which causes the heads to come out. We've done a lot of research on this. We figured out the different spray times that you can do, and it does work. We're still going to have stickers for a little while, and I think we'll continue until we get the whole farm pretty much sticker-free. It does extend our growing time with the hoop houses. I can grow a little bit, I can get my vegetables there a little bit sooner than most outdoor gardeners. It works out really good there. And also if we have kind of a warmer fall and winter, I can extend my growing season. I've got my Brussels, I've got my cabbage, I've got my broccoli, I've got all of those things in, but I'm also still growing some of my summer things. And they assist hundreds of farmers a year. Now, yes, we have been turned down a lot. I just got turned down again for another hoop house. I want to do strawberries. I have a dream. See, I'm excited. But I don't know when I'll get to do those strawberries, maybe next year. But I did get turned down again. You've got to keep doing it, perseverance, okay? Keep trying. We got turned down forever on that grass. And I think we've been approved 3 times, and we've added 3 different spots on our farm with actual Bermuda. And it's looking beautifully. But we have been turned down. So don't think, okay, well, I got turned down. I'm not doing that again. Do it again. Do it again. And that is in our NRCS and FSA office are all in the same building. I don't know how you guys are in your area, but for the most part, they're all in the same building. Our FSA, this has helped us out, and I'm learning about these programs because my husband does this. I don't typically do this part. I've got enough going on in here. I don't really have time to deal with everything in general. So crop acreage report, I heard my father-in-law talk about, I think it was NAP. Is that what you said? They got a little notification on their phone. Be sure to turn in your acreages for your NAP, okay? You got to make sure all your reports are in on time in order for you to qualify, okay? If you don't turn them in on time, that's on you. And so they've got that, and I don't know if Tillman County just does that or if everybody does it, but it is kind of nice that you get that little notification. But Chad and I were talking about, I think it's a livestock forage disaster program. I think we're going to suffer some grazing loss. It has been over 40-something days without a drop of rain in our area. Over 40, almost close to 45 days, over 100-degree temps. I've lost so many chickens I mean, I put ice in there with them, fans, then we put sprinklers, we put everything, and they're still dying. They cannot handle it. Their body cannot do it. I've got some sheep right now with bottle jaw worms. I have wormed for that. I have some I'm having to give B12 to on every week, just trying to keep their system built up enough. They've got hay. They've got the dead grass. I'm running a sprinkler for them to have some green to get. But everything is hurting right now. So if you look at a farmer, pat them on the back, folks. If you have a gardener, oh my gosh, pat them on the back. You helped me a lot on my strawberries this morning. They need some phosphorus. So thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, I need that. I didn't even know. But these are some programs that are available to you that you can sign up with your FSA office. And they are normally really, I mean, it's like Chet said, they're a little slow, but they do work well. And they do get you what you need. I feel like a bad Vanna White right there. Sorry. Okay, so I share these photos with you so you kind of know what we do. And this is a slide of a lot of stress, but let's look at this. All right, so we did end up putting this sign. I'm going to try to do what he did earlier. It worked out really nice. Oh, there we go. Right here, we did work with ODOT. We did work with agritourism, and we got these nice signs put up. Okay? Then a pedestrian decides to hit the sign and lay it over. And by the way, I had to pay for those signs anyway. And then a pedestrian hits them.
Motorist.
And then a motorist. Oh, not a pedestrian, sorry. I hope they were in their motor vehicle at the time, the pedestrian driving. But yes, the motorist hit my sign, left it nice and flat on the ground and tore it smooth up. So then I had to pay for a second one. Okay? And fled the scene, by the way. That's kind of where I was going with that. They did get back in their vehicle and took out. They didn't even stay, which I found was kind of rude. Then you've got this image here in the center with the hoop house. Number one, you can tell I don't have fabric covering my ground. That is the best thing you can ever do. Gardening in general. Where I live, there's nothing but weeds. I mean, they're strong, sturdy weeds, and they're not going to die. And so I would pull for hours on end at night. 85-mile-an-hour wind popped through, popped the top out, and bent the whole top section. Okay? And I was in it. I was that stubborn person. I'm going to go, and I'm going to pick that okra. I don't care. I'm going to get it before the storm hits. Nope. I had to call Chad and Cassidy. They said it sounded like a tornado, and they just rushed down there, and they found me and got me out. I couldn't even get the doors open. So that was a strange time for us, but we did. But it was full of vegetables. The winter came and killed everything. That is my oldest up top with a chicken. That's what you get for taking selfies with Mom's phone. And I do that a lot to her, especially at the school. They've got little TVs, and I just throw something on there occasionally. Don't do that. This little guy right here, he is doing wonderfully now. When he was born, it was 110 that day. He laid out there lifeless, couldn't get up. So we had to end up bringing him in. As you can tell, he made himself at home in his diapers. So I don't, like I said, I'm in that trailer house, not the dream house, remember? So it's, So this little guy even learned how to jump on the couch. Then it's time to get outside because I'm not doing this. But he did. Every day he would come in. We'd take him out every 3 hours because he was on that type of feeding schedule. He is a hoss. He is a huge boy. If you look at our Facebook page, I just posted a picture of him now. He's a great big boy, but he has a healthy, healthy appetite. This right here is a wonderful, beautiful picture. I went on, I did a lot of research after this had happened with our hoop houses, and Alaska has a lot of issues with wind, right? A lot of wind. So we decided to do a bubble top. 2 layers, air in the middle. Did a lot of research on that. That's supposed to work. I had a guy come out, I won't say his name because he's almost caused us to divorce several times. He came out, put this house up for me, did the top for me. It's going to be great. 2 days later, 35-mile-an-hour came through, popped tops out of both of them. Back to square one. That's when I'm throwing my hands. What do you want me to do? I mean, I've done everything I can. But yeah, I was prospering. I was trying really hard. This right here is my little. She's my animal lover, and she will take care of anything and everything. And we just love her. I wish I had her kindred spirit. That little girl is, I mean, Just amazing. And this picture right here is of me vacuuming up some bees that I had in a park. Some guys were trying to remove a tree out of a state park. They were up in a bucket and they were working on it. They ended up with over 200 stings. They cut into the wrong spot. So they called me and said, can you remove them? And I did. My husband and I went out there, we vacuumed them up, and that same piece of log there I ended up taking home because they had made some beautiful designs on the inside with the wax. It was gorgeous. So we do that too in our spare time. Go capture bees. All right, is it easy? No. 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 So this right here was a couple years ago. My father-in-law is going to help me build fence on Sunday. Yes, thank you. This was our corn maze. We hit our knees a lot and we pray a lot. I cried in this field a lot. A week before we opened, sent my daughter in to clean out our maze, right? Because you got to mow it. You got to keep it cut down. Sent her in. She's like, Mom, something happened to the corn. Okay. No, you need to come out. Something happened to the corn. I walk out. Hogs got us. Okay. They come out and they wiped out different sections. We sat out there looking for them for a couple nights in a row. That wasn't easy either because once they get into the corn, you can't find them again. You can hear them, but you can't find them. So we ended up getting a fence pulled up. The pigs went away. We even had a trapper out. We did everything we knew to do at that point in time. But now, who wants to come to that? Not many people. We had to advertise it. We had to share it. But it's what it is. It's life. It happens. So then if you look up here up top, that's my oldest. She helps me clean chickens. Does she like to do as much anymore? No. Or I do it a lot more. But she's very good at what she does. The picture up here with my daughter with all the lambs. Took our kids on a small vacation. We come home. We have really strong winds. Everything's dead in the hoop houses. We've got all of these. I came home to a pen full of dead babies. Everybody kind of lambed out all at the same time. I didn't expect that cold front to be there, and I had a guy there that's not really animal savvy trying to help us. So we gathered up all the babies we could, took them to a shed, warmed everybody up. The next morning we took everybody out to go integrate with moms, wind's still fierce, trying to get them to integrate and try to take their babies. A couple of them took them. Nobody else would. So we had all of these babies trying to feed. So when you're walking around with 7 or 8 bottles, root beer bottles, trying to take them to feed babies and you drop one, you're losing your mind because you have all these babies you got to take care of, and that was your last bottle. I cried a lot. The next picture is my daughter and I at market and taking another selfie. See, I'll throw her out there. During COVID, not many people could come through market. Not many people came out. They didn't want to. So yeah, we suffered at market. This cow right here is she was Chad's pride and joy. That was his pride and joy nurse cow. Her name was Tootsie. Tootsie didn't breed back, I think, for 3 different heats. And she was Tootsie Burger, and she was delicious. Now, it broke my husband's heart. I mean, it's got to break your heart when you put a halter on her, and you got to walk her into the trailer, put a halter on her, walk her into the weigh scales at the butcher shop. I mean, I know, and I'm sure he shed some tears because that was his baby. But I didn't care for her. She didn't like women, so that's why I was okay with it. And she didn't like my girls either. So anytime she saw us, she had that head down, ears pinned, she was coming. But we do it for these 3 pictures here on this side. We do it for the educational purposes. I get out there, I teach the kids when we're there. When I'm there, that's what we do, is I educate as much as possible. We do it for the teachers that need an outdoor classroom experience. That's what I do it for. I don't do it for me. I know what I can do, but I do it for them when they get out there. They get excited, they see the different things they can do and take back to their classroom and talk about. And we do it for groups like this. We have, I think, about 6 or 7 groups that come out with that many students at a time. And we enjoy those kids. And those kids love Farmer Chad because that's his thing. His thing are the school groups, and he loves it, and the kids love him. Now, what diverse practices will work on your farm? I don't know. But see if that seed gets planted. What could you do? We have a big blank spot. What could we do with that? We cut up some tin horns. Now the kids play in them. And the adults play in them more than the kids. The adults get on top and roll, even though you say don't, insurance liability, but they still do it. What do you do with big kids? Calves, that is my prize baby. I loved him. I mean, how could you just not? I mean, raising cattle is a wonderful thing. Chad's truck is typically, during calf season, is covered in calf poop. Why? Because he's got to pull one, or he's got to pick one up, and he's got to take it to get, something could happen, a prolapse, you name it, it could happen. So you never know what's going to be in the floorboard of my husband's pickup. So you always look before you sit. So think about that. We do have a web page. There's our information there. Now, you saw the pictures of the pumpkin patch. This is what it is currently. Now, we went from that dead spot to this. We've got fencing, we've got railing, we've got to keep the kids off of the road. The baling twine, is a little iffy for teachers. I would be kind of scared if that's all you had keeping my kids in. We've got bathrooms. My husband and I moved these grain bins in from north of Manitou on a flatbed cotton trailer. That was an experience. And I don't want to, and my father-in-law helped us with that too, I think. Did y'all help us with that? Yeah. We always try to talk to Quality Implement. Sometimes they donate a tractor during the pumpkin patch and let us pull the hayride with it. And that kind of gives them a little publicity too, because we try to advertise that for them. So this is what we've evolved into. I mean, it started with, how can I pay for this farm? This is how we're going to pay for it. This is what makes a lot of money. And it works for us. And I'm pretty proud of that. I don't just go around telling people, we own the pumpkin patch. I do with the little kids, but the adults, I'm not really, I try to be humble about it. Any questions? And I will tell you a helpful source that has helped me, and it's also helped me with my FSA and the NRCS side, is the National Young Farmers Coalition. I'm a member of that. And you can go there and become a member of this, but they talk about the Farm Bill. They're talking about all of these things that are coming up, okay? And they do. They keep me on top of it. They'll send me a nice email telling me this is what we need to do. They'll call me during COVID. Hey, there's a loss on farming, on different things with gardening, so you need to call your FSA office and see if you qualify. Who are you and what are you doing? I was scared to death. I didn't know what to do, so I called my FSA office. They said, who did you talk to? You didn't talk to us. No. But I have a friend, and they told me to call you. And I got signed up, and I did get paid on some of those products, which was really good. It was nice. I needed that because guess what? It was during COVID. Not many people coming to market. Not many people spending money. So it worked for us. But they are a good resource, by the way, if you ever need anything. Questions?
And one thing
Yes.
I think is really important to note, you're like, well, maybe you don't identify as young.
Right.
The National Young Farmers Association is for anybody who's been in production for less than a certain number of years.
Yes.
10 years.
10.
So as a producer, no matter what your age is, if your farm is young, that's what counts.
Exactly.
So to make sure that I always get people.
It does, and because I've said that to some people, and they're like, well, I'm not young.
No, they don't.
But they've been farming for 7 years, like me. I'm still a young farmer to them.
So do you know about the deer fence that's easy to put up, and sheep to put up to keep the deer out?
No, but you could be my best friend if you tell me about it.
The wildlife department and/or the Noble Foundation has diagrams on how to do it. We use it around all our gardens. It works great. It's cheap. You can use lightweight wire. You don't have to put in heavy corner posts, just lightweight corner posts. You can put your T-posts from rebar 30 foot apart. You turn it, you put it up early, you turn it on, you leave it on, and it keeps the deer out.
Is it electrical?
Yes, ma'am.
Chad, did you hear that?
It works great. We've used it for years now. It works great.
How tall is it?
We heat it under the wire, and it's great.
How tall is it?
It's on the first row, like if I'm the deer, the first row, the wires are 18 and 48 inches.
Okay.
That's it, 2 light hot wires. Then you go in 30 inches and 1 wire at the height of 30 inches. That's it. and it works, but you gotta do it before the crop's in, before the crop is producing, you gotta keep it on.
Keep it on.
Now,
Okay.
we unplug it when we go in.
Yes,
We have
and
the
then-
wires, so we just
Mhm.
drop the gate.
Right.
And we make it where it's not hot unless it's plugged in, and then we plug it in before we leave, because if you don't keep it on, if you forget and they get in there, then they know they can get out, and those deer will be in there from then on.
Okay.
But it works great.
Oh, that would be an amazing
But
thing.
you have to walk it and check it, and.
I'm
there's
okay with
little-
that.
Little bitty meters you can take to your.
Yes.
I'd use 110. If you use batteries, then the deer are smart, like when there's a drought and they're hungry.
Yes.
They're willing to get bit, but by closer to daylight, they know the fence is not gonna be as hot if you're using a battery or a solar
Ah,
charger.
yes.
So they'll go in because they're hungry.
Uh-huh.
But you need it to be 110.
110?
It needs to be on.
Okay. Well, I've got power in both hoops, so that's great, and I'm gardening in between both hoops for my outside garden. So that's wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. Yes, because people are wanting my tomatoes, and they keep threatening, so I'm thinking, okay. Now this, there we go. Now this was shot a long time ago. This has been several years ago, but this is kind of a little glimpse of our farm. There's been several updates, but I had a guy that was learning how to use a drone, and so he needed practice. So he came out, he was free, and he made all these clips, took images, did all of that. Utilize your resources. We are in the know. We know people, okay? You are going to know people. Tap into that. Our farmers that live around us. We've been to the point where we've had such a drought, we couldn't even get the corn to germinate. And they drove by and said, hey, this is before irrigation, before we even put in a pivot. They're like, hey, there's no corn. And we're like, you know, it's a drought. We can't even get it to germinate, so there's not going to be a corn maze this year. They're like, can you use hay? A hay bale maze? Maybe. I don't know. I talked it over with Chad. The next day, we had semi after semi after semi dumping off hay. So we could build a hay bale maze for the school kids and for our season to continue. That's what our friends did with us from around us, because we are now the cool kids. Okay? And yes, they did. They came back and they loaded up and they took the hay back and put it where it needed to go, back in the right farms. But that's what we established over these 7 years. We've got those connections. We've got those resources. They believe in us. They see all these kids out there playing. I've had farmers the first year hit the ditch driving down the road. They're driving down the road, and they see all these people, and they're like, what are they doing? Ditch. What are they? Ditch. And I mean, it was the same guy. You would think he would figure it out after about 10 times, but he just kept doing it until the end of October. But believe in yourself. If the seed's planted, chase that dream. I think that's all I've got today.